Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome to another video on my channel, Hairliciously. If you guys are new to the channel, please make sure to subscribe so you guys are updated on hair loss and hair transplant topics, as well as updates on current hair loss treatments in the pipelines. Visit my website at HAIRLICIOUSLY.com to purchase our microneedling device, which is scientifically proven to stimulate hair growth, my low-level laser therapy cap, DHT debulking shampoo, conditioner serum, hair growth vitamins, and a few other products to help those who are losing hair. Now, in today's video topic, I wanted to give you guys an update on the highly anticipated Kintor Pharma's KX826, also known as Pyroludamide. I've covered Kintor Pharma a few months back in a separate video, but since we actually received an update last month, I figured that I would do another video since a lot of you guys were requesting it. But Kintor Pharma is by far one of my favorite companies, and I've actually been following the progress for quite some time now. But for those who are not aware of and what accomplishments that they've been working on, let me just do a quick recap. So Kintor Pharma is a Chinese-based biotech company with some pretty impressive treatments in their pipeline. They're currently working on developing a topical anti-androgen called Pyroludamide or KX826 that would treat androgenic alopecia. They also have their lead product, Proxiludamide, with codename GT0918, which is aimed towards the treatment of COVID, prostate, and breast cancer. Now, this is a bit off tangent, but Kintor's stock recently plummeted after unsatisfactory interim analysis of their COVID-19 pill trial, which was pretty, unfortunate. But I guess it might be good news for those who are interested in purchasing Kintor stock simply for their treatment of androgenic alopecia. It did drop like 75 to 80% of its value. But anyway, Kintor also has other research and developments currently in the pipelines. But the one obviously that everyone is eyeing in the hair loss community is Pyroludamide. The nice thing about this topical non-steroidal anti-androgen, along with some of the other well-known treatments like CB0301, RU5841, bicalutamide, flutamide, and just a bunch of other anti-androgens, is that it targets hair loss in a different mechanism of action compared to that of 5-AR inhibitors like finasteride or dutasteride. While finasteride and dutasteride block the action of the enzyme 5-AR, which reduces systemic DHT and also scalp DHT levels, Pyroludamide and other anti-androgens prevent testosterone and DHT and other endogenous androgens from binding to the androgen receptors in the hair follicles and other tissue, and therefore theoretically it should not affect hormonal serum levels. So this would be incredible, for those who are stuck or they're scared of having to use finasteride or dutasteride and dealing with potential sexual side effects, or even for those who, are kind of currently on finasteride in conjunction with other hair loss treatments and just looking to add in something else to their hair loss treatment stack that is going to target hair loss through a different mechanism of action. I think this is important, especially if your main arsenal is just a 5-AR inhibitor, because there are still going to be remnants of DHT circulating in the system and also in the scalp, let alone a spike in testosterone levels, which is still androgenic in nature. And as a result, finasteride and even things like dutasteride isn't likely to halt further progression of hair loss in some individuals. It will definitely slow it down for the majority of users, but the androgens are likely going to continue to cause havoc on the hair follicles. And this is why sometimes people who are even on dutasteride, which is going to wipe out nearly all of the systemic DHT levels, can still continue to lose hair due to other androgens like testosterone that are still present, especially in the scalp. And this is why adding in something like an anti-androgen to target the androgen receptors would add that extra layer of protection that 5-AR inhibitors cannot offer. So phase 1, phase 2 clinical trials were completed in China and they were successful. The drug was indeed safe to use and it actually did not cause any major side effects. Phase 2 clinical trials was a multi-centered, randomized, double-blinded, placebo-controlled study to assess the efficacy and safety of KX826 for the treatment of androgenic alopecia in 120 males. The primary endpoint for the trial was the change from baseline to non-vellus target area hair counts at week 26 in comparison to placebo. We are still waiting for more information on what the endpoint results were after 24 weeks of treatment compared to placebo. We should hear back from them relatively soon. since the latest update on Kintor's Pyroludamide was that they are finally starting phase 3 clinical trials in China next month in January of 2022. Their IND application for phase 3 was cleared by China's National Medical Products Administration, and this is extremely exciting because this is probably the first androgen receptor antagonist that is entering phase 3 clinical trials. If you guys recall Cassiopeia's Brurzula, CB0301, they did complete their phase 2 clinical trials, but due to the pandemic in Italy, they have delayed their phase 3 clinical trials. So the runner-up right now, and something more potent than CB0301, is Pyroludamide. And if everything goes as planned, this may very well be the first ever topical anti-androgen cleared for commercialization in the world. The other thing worth mentioning is that phase 2 clinical trials are also commencing, or they're actually ongoing in the US. So this means that if the clinical trials reveal favorable results with minimal adverse side effects and phase 3 clinical trials are also successful, basically commercialization of KX826 in the US will become readily available as well. Now, it does suck not knowing what the results were from phase 2 clinical trials, but I will say that Pyroludamide created a statistically significant change in non-vellus hair count in a targeted area compared to placebo. So this is obviously good news, and as soon as I hear back on the numbers, I will keep you guys updated. I'm honestly not really sure what the holdup is, but I do hope that once they do release that information on the results of the clinical trials, I better hope to see some encouraging news and hair density and hair count. Now, the other crazy part about Kintor's research for treating hair loss is that they also have something really special up their sleeve. The drug name is called GT20029, and this is actually more interesting than Pyroludamide because if this is successful, this may very well be the cure to hair loss. Now, apparently GT20029, which is currently undergoing phase 1 clinical trials in China, works in a different mechanism compared to Pyroludamide. It is a unique androgen receptor degrader that degrades the AR protein, which reduces the sensitivity of AR to androgens without systemic exposure and accumulation of the drug. This would definitely be a new level of treatment for hair loss, and if it can locally dull the AR on the scalp, it could theoretically, completely stop hair loss and cure it. And this goes beyond just treating hair loss. If researchers can target and degrade certain proteins in the body, particularly ones that are responsible for abnormal or uncontrolled growth, they may very well be able to cure certain types of cancers and diseases. So androgen receptor degraders in itself hold a lot of promise in the field of medicine, and I hope that we can get some good news on this as well. So overall, guys, pretty excited that Kintor is going to commence with phase 3 clinical trials of KX826, and I hope that we will get some promising results in their studies. As you guys know, I myself am not taking any anti-androgens. One of the most common ones that we see people using is RU588 for one. But if you watched one of my previous videos on why I don't use RU, it basically comes down to the lack of safety data. And this is why I'm also looking forward to CB0301, since there are actual clinical ongoing studies behind it. And eventually, I do want to start incorporating an anti-androgen into my hair loss treatment regimen so that I can maximize my treatment efficacy through various mechanisms of action. I've told you guys, many times before, but the best hair loss treatments come in the form of incorporating just various treatments that target hair loss in different ways. Growth stimulants, minoxidil, 5-AR inhibitors, finasteride, dutasteride, anti-androgens, but I'm the type of person that likes to keep my risk tolerances low, and I will only stick to treatment that is backed up through clinical studies, particularly when we're dealing with anti-androgens. And the good news that I've been reading is that Pyroludamide may have a higher binding affinity than RU588 for one, which means that it is going to work even better in treating hair loss. According to a post that I read online, Kintor's patent of their KX826 shows that its binding affinity is almost 4 times that of RU588 for one, which is an incredibly potent version of, at least for an anti-androgen. So like I said, I'm very, very excited about the efficacy this drug has and just really looking forward to the endpoint results from phase 2 clinical trials. So I hope this video update on Kintor has been educational. I am excited about Kintor than any other hair loss companies that are currently out there. Thankfully, this is one of the few companies that is moving pretty fast. I'm praying for good news, and hopefully we will get more information on their clinical trials. But as always, thanks for watching, guys. If you guys have any questions, make sure to leave me some comments below. Reach me via email. Thanks for all of your support, and I will talk to you guys in my next video. Take care.